Hello and welcome to my little demo on how to blow up a building. Um, I will point out that this is actually a demo and not a full tutorial, basically because it's a pretty advanced project and you'll be expected to know a reasonable amount about both Photoshop and After Effects before starting this. This is not a beginner's project. Um, Based on this, I've taken a photo here of our building. This is my local council offices and it just happened to be an easy building to pick up. Um, One thing you might want to take note in here, that the window itself is relatively large. You can do more than one window if you prefer, but that obviously makes the project somewhat more complex. On top of that, have a nice amount of glass. If you've got it, it always looks more impressive. And the third thing is you need something in front of the building, as some kind of foreground between the building and the camera. The reason for this is because we're going to be using a shutter plugin in After Effects, and this has no collision detection or floor, so any of the heavy debris that flies out here is just going to drop straight down the screen, and basically it just looks a bit weird. So what I've done is introduced a mask into there as a separate area, so we're going to cut that out later on in AE. Now on top of that, what we've done is, or I've done, is cut this piece out. So we've got an area that we're actually going to work in. I'll take a clipping of that, move that to our original, cut that out, and we have ourselves a window. Bring in some guides, because what we want to do is eliminate the perspective distortion here, and then go to your transform distort tool, so, and pick these up so we get ourselves some parallel lines like so. Stretch that out a bit. Okay, now in the great Blue Peter tradition, here's one I prepared earlier. Now as you can see here, what I've done is I've chopped out the window frame and the glass, because these two sections are going to explode in different ways. Basically the frame is quite a heavy metal frame, so that's going to drop, whereas the glass is going to fly out quite a bit further. Now I've also copied the glass across and clone stamped the bits in between. You don't have to add too much detail, it's not great, but at that distance you're not really going to see it too much. And then finally I've got a shot of my kitchen, and the reason I put that in is as a simple background. You can use whatever you like. Try and get the angle right so it looks a little bit better once it's in the image. Okay, now I'll set the glass to multiply so it overlays it, and then our frame on top. So now we can see this, and the reason for this is now that once we get the big bang and the flash, that can light up the room before the frame starts to explode. Now if we go back to our original here, I can cut this out, go back, put our room back on, our exterior, some glass, and the frame. So now we have the completed effect. Removing the glass, it will light up the room. You might also notice there that I've built the entire frame of the window because it's all going to blow up, but some of it is actually obscured in the shot. So this pillar is overlaying, so I've cut that out and I stick that back on top as an extra piece. Okay, now on top of that, you also need to make up a couple of other extras. One is this one here, based on the other window. Now you might be wondering what on earth this is. This is for the After Effects plugin called Shatter, which is what we're going to be using to actually blow the windows up. Now in this area, the different colours show separate sections of the fragments as they blow apart from the original object. Now I've made up two different ones. I have the glass fragments, which tend to be quite small and broken up, and the frame fragments, which are obviously going to be sticks of metal or wood or whatever. There is also the white area. White signifies that it will not move, so once the building or the windows are blown out, these pieces will remain in situ in the wall. The colours themselves, you can use any primary colour, red, green, blue, yellow and cyan, but for some strange reason magenta doesn't seem to want to work. I think it might be a bug. So if you just make sure that you don't get contiguous colours touching each other, you can fiddle about with that and produce your mask. We'll come to that, back to that later. Now, a couple more to go through. We now have this one, which is the most fiddly bit of the whole job. You have to go through and with a pen tool, not using the painting tools, cut out each individual window. Now you might notice here, I've got this whole section here. I've got them in different areas, and like for instance these two windows up here, for the simple reason that they're at different angles, and so they're going to be actually reflecting back the explosion slightly differently from different perspectives, so it just adds to the realism. And then also I've done another set across on the car windows as well. Again, they're at different angles, so they're going to reflect things slightly differently. Okay, so that area there, you need to save that as a separate document, and we'll import that again into After Effects. And then finally we have this one. So this is the aftermath of the explosion, where I've used an airbrush, you don't have to bother about the window, and painted in all the various smoky bits and damaged windows, etc, etc. Remember, stuff falls down as well as goes up, so add some streaks and smut. Okay, and that pretty well concludes the Photoshop section of this demo, and we'll move over to After Effects.